Hi guys, welcome to a very special Tuesday Tips. Today is my beloved nephew Callum's second birthday. That little boy is the love of my life, and he's a little Paw Patrol obsessed. So my sister actually got us little shirts made. So in Portuguese, I'm not auntie, I'm tia. So Tia Patrol. So we are going to make him a little cake today as I sip from my best tia ever mug. I actually wanted to use this opportunity to show you guys a way to make a box mix and store-bought frosting seem like a homemade cake. I make homemade cake all the time, but sometimes you just don't feel like it, you don't have the ingredients on hand, whatever. Before I was more confident with a homemade cake recipe, this was my go-to. So you are going to follow the directions on the back of the box. What's nice is this applies to any brand, any flavor. And so you're just going to follow the directions and make a couple tweaks. And again, this works with any brand, no matter what, okay? So it's going to call for 1 cup of water or milk. You definitely want milk. Actually, buttermilk is your best option. It's going to add that extra richness. This one calls for 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. Do not use oil, use melted butter and double it. So we're gonna add 1 cup of melted butter, and it calls for 3 eggs, double the eggs. So we're gonna put 6 eggs in. So those couple easy tweaks are going to give you a delicious cake that's gonna seem more homemade. Box cake tends to have that really sort of loose, fluffy crumb to it, whereas a homemade cake, there's a little more denseness, I find. So this is gonna give regular old box mix that more homemade feel. All right, so I'm just going to show you guys real quick here. And I do have a little hack for the icing as well. when I used to do this all the time, and people always ask me, "Oh my God, Cryssi, what is your cake recipe?" Oh, it's a secret. So we dump that in there with our 6 eggs. I should have cracked those before so you guys don't have to sit there and watch me do this. But filming recipes and tips, it's definitely a learning process. And I enjoy that you guys are along for the ride with me. Okay, so we've got our eggs in there. I'm just gonna kind of move that around a little bit. And I already melted 1 cup of butter. Now, I like to use buttermilk because it has just a richer texture to it. I do not have any, but you can cheat with that as well. And all you need to do is pour your cup of milk, but I'm going to leave a little bit room for about like a tablespoon worth of lemon juice or vinegar. I prefer lemon juice. And I'm just gonna cheat and use the bottled stuff. So we're gonna fill up the rest of that cup with lemon juice. And it's okay, it's gonna look kind of nasty because lemon juice and milk will cause a little bit of curdling, but that's actually what we want. It's going to give us that nice tang of a buttermilk. And there we go. And then I'm just going to mix it with my good old beaters. I'm not going to make you guys sit and listen to that, but I will show you in a moment what it's going to look like. What's nice too is at this stage, this one is just a golden cake. I just wanted to throw it out there that This is also when you could add in sprinkles to make your own funfetti cake. You could throw in some chocolate chips. You could throw in a hint of cinnamon if you wanted to. All sorts of different extracts. So this is your opportunity to do that as well. So a little teaspoon of that won't change the consistency. So this is also your chance to change up the flavor if you want to. This is for a 2-year-old's birthday, so we're gonna keep it pretty simple. But I'm gonna use quite a few sprinkles in decorating the cake. So I'm gonna mix this up and we'll get it poured in the pan and get it in the oven. Perfect. Okay. So we whipped up our cake here with our beaters. Another little tip too is my mom taught me you always put your beaters in before you plug it in, just in case your hands are in the way. Accidentally it's turned on. You don't want to have it plugged in and then you're putting these guys in and they go off on you. So just a little safety tip. Thanks, Mom. Alrighty. So now we've got our cake batter here. Oh yes, that has a lovely texture. It's fluffy, but I can tell it's got that richness that we're looking for. So this will fit into your 9x13 baking pan. I'm going to use a springform pan. I'm going to attempt a nice little round layered cake. Disclaimer also, I'm not a cake decorator, but I wing it. I just try to make it work. Don't be afraid to play around. It's just food. All right, so we're going to pour this in. And then you're gonna follow, again, the box directions. We're putting it in the oven at 350. And I stick to the old toothpick test. Leave it in the oven for a set amount of time. Usually around the 25-30 minute mark, I like to check it. And if you stick your toothpick in and the middle comes out clean and dry, your cake is done. Another little tip, if you have slightly overcooked your cake and you're worried that it's going to be a little bit dry, don't throw it away, don't despair, all is not lost. If it's just slightly overcooked, just a little bit dry, go online, find a recipe for a simple syrup, water and sugar, cook that down, and you brush your cake with it. It'll absorb that little bit of moisture and sweetness, and nobody will ever know that you may have forgotten your cake in the oven for a couple minutes. So we're going to let our cake bake. I'm just going to clean up a little bit because I need to use the beaters again, and I'm going to show you a little hack using store-bought frosting. So as I mentioned earlier, I've got a little trick with store-bought icing. I do typically make my own icing. I like to do sort of just a standard buttercream. But again, before I was a little more confident with that, I used to rely on the store-bought stuff. So this one is just a creamy French vanilla. So what I'm going to do is empty out the whole thing. Basically, I'm going to show you how you can take this and not necessarily double it, but you can get a whole lot more out of this frosting. Okay, so you empty out the whole entire thing into a bowl. Alright, so I'm going to show you, so in our bowl, we've got so much there, and simply bring out those beaters, or you could do it in your stand mixer, and you just whip it good, and you're going to end up with a lot more frosting. You can actually do the same thing with margarine. It's an oil product. You just keep whipping it. Not only, if you're doing this with margarine, not only you're going to end up with a nice fluffy product, but you're going to get so much more for your money. So it's the same idea with the store-bought frosting, because I want to have enough to do a layer in the middle and then ice the entire cake. So we're going to just start beating. Again, I'm not gonna make you guys sit here and watch me just whipping up this frosting for a little bit, but I'm gonna go for probably like 2 to 5 minutes, and then I'll kind of show you where I'm at while that cake is baking. It's kind of fun. It's a little bit of a longer Tuesday tip video today, but I just want to show you how you can just use basic things to, I don't know, kind of add to them. Also, with the frosting, this is your chance if you wanted to add in, say you were doing a chocolate cake, you could add in, and if it was chocolate frosting, you could add in some peppermint extract. You could turn it into a nice mint chocolate type idea. You could add in coffee flavoring. Into the vanilla, you could add some maple, again, some cinnamon. You can play around with these things, like make it your own, and people will never know that it was just store-bought. One of my favorite things growing up, my mom used to use just a chocolate box cake mix, and then she would buy the chocolate frosting, but when she got home, she would whip it with peanut butter. People still request it to this day. I copy the idea. I make it from scratch, but in a pinch, I'll do it this way, absolutely. Okay, enough talking. I'm gonna keep whipping this up, and I'm gonna show you how it looks after a few minutes, all right? So this is after about 2 minutes of whipping. So already we've increased in volume quite a bit. Just kind of wanted to show you guys where I was at. I'm gonna go a little bit longer. I think I'm gonna do close to 5 minutes. So I just wanted to show you a little progress here, and I'm gonna keep going, and then we'll check back in a little bit. Okay, so I went about 7 minutes altogether. Look how much icing I got from this. Just whipping it and whipping it for about 7 minutes altogether. I now have that much frosting in there. I know it's kind of hard to see. It's basically double what I started with here. So you're gonna get a whole lot more for your money with these little tips. I love them, and it adds that homemade touch. So again, any box mix, follow the directions, making these tweaks. Always use milk instead of water. Substitute buttermilk if you can. Instead of the oil, use melted butter and double the amount. Eggs, whatever it calls for, double that amount as well. In your cake mix, bake it according to package directions, and you're gonna have like a bakery homemade style cake. Store-bought frosting, just keep whipping it and whipping it, and you're gonna eventually get hopefully about double the volume, so you're gonna have a lot more frosting to use. And you know, these are things that are cheap. A lot of people have them on hand, or you can just run to the store and quickly grab them. If you're intimidated by baking, this kind of makes things a lot easier for you. So what I'll do is I'll show you a quick little snippet of me decorating the cake once it's done, and to show you that, you know, you don't have to be a professional to make your cake look pretty, you know, pretty presentable. So we'll check back, and once the cake is out and cooled, and we'll ice it up. Okay, so I'm now at my sister's house, and we're gonna get ready to decorate a cake for my nephew Callum. Gonna try to stick to a very simple Paw Patrol theme. Couple little tips first. I always put some icing on the cake plate first, and that's gonna help your cake stick so it's not gonna slide around. I'm also using, my sister has this really fun little kit. So it's got like everything you need in there, but it spins, so it's gonna allow me to work around the cake. Also, when I'm filling pastry bags, I like to use a tall glass. That way I can kind of let it fold on itself for now so that icing doesn't come out, and you just fill it up nice and easy. So I'm gonna get the cake sliced in half, put on there, filled, crumb coated, and then we'll go from there. One more quick little thing. I just wanted to show you, now that I've cut the cake in half, you'll see that crumb is just a little more dense. It's not just that sort of really big fluffy usual cake mix texture. Oh, It's not as dense as like a pound cake, but it's gonna be like a homemade cake. Nobody has to know. Okay, so I've given the cake a quick coating of the vanilla frosting that we whipped earlier. And I saw an idea on Pinterest, so I'm just using a 2 cookie cutter since Callum is 2 today. And I'm actually gonna fill that number 2 with sprinkles. Let's see how this works. Of course, they make everything look so effortless on Pinterest. Okay. Almost done there. It's going to be a few little sprinkles around at this point, so I'm just going to do a couple loosely around. Okay, just want to make sure that that 2 is really full. So when we take the cookie cutter out, it should hopefully leave a really nice 2. Okay, let's see. Da, 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 da. Hey, that worked pretty good, pretty good. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna use some more of that frosting that I put red gel in. I like using the icing colors, the gels. They're a lot more vibrant and they don't make the icing watery like the standard liquid food coloring can do. I always like to do a little test. Okay, so now I'm just gonna kind of go around the bottom of the cake. And again, this spins, so we can just kind of move along with it. And like I told you guys earlier, I am no cake decorator, but trial and error with some simple little tricks, it can kind of look like you know what you're doing. So it's really important for me that I'm able to do this for Callum. I did his cupcakes for his first birthday last year and doing his cake again this year. So I would like to think this is a yearly tradition that his Tia makes his birthday cakes. It's little things like that because family is so important. I have a very small family, but we're a very, very close family. Okay, almost done with the edging there. So, as you can see there, it's kind of cute. So I'm going to put a happy birthday candle. Ooh, I'm going to take this guy out. So we've got nice sparkly blue, happy birthday. We'll light that up for him after. We've got the 2. So there is Callum's second birthday cake, and we used a box mix that we made with a few tweaks, so it's like a homemade cake, and we whipped up that frosting and doubled the amount. I've even got some left over here. So give these little tips a try, and you can turn any box mix into a homemade birthday cake for your loved ones. We'll see you next time.